here at CAN TV with Omari and his comrades, these engineers. They say, man, we tired of you telling people our business, talking about you can't hear nothing. Take this earphone, put it in your ear, and go on about your business. Boy, these new generations, they ain't got no time for foolishness. They say, man, if that's what the problem is, we got something for you, costs $8, put it in your ear, and we through with this here. Thank y'all. You know how these millennials are. They don't want to hear. They don't want to talk about what don't work. They just want to fix it and keep it moving. And that makes sense because we baby boomers, I guess they say, y'all need to go somewhere and get y'all one of them damn, whatever you call them things y'all be using. But the bottom line is this, I appreciate the fact that they like to make things happen. Today's program is going to be a concise comparison. I don't want to get ahead of myself. So before we get to the meat of the program, let me just say this here. Ricky Hinton has been real visible lately, he and some of the other groups, because apparently the governor has stated as it relates to this cannabis, marijuana, dope, that, you niggas, we ain't gonna change too much. The white folks that had 7 or 8 chances, gonna still have 7 or 8 chances to win. And you Negroes who feel disenfranchised, we might let you get something, but we ain't even clear. So as a result of Ricky Hinton, now you got State Rep LaShawn Ford, who is carrying a trailer, and I had to give it to, this brother here. He be working his behind off. He's the brother that put into place the West Side Heroin Opioid Task Force, the Behavioral Health Task Force, and he's out there. And I'm gonna say this, I ain't got his permission to say it, and I hope I ain't getting out of my lane, but he need to recrank his machine. Because it appears that he ought to be a good candidate for this next mayoral election. We do know one thing about LaShawn Ford. He got the concerns and the needs of the community in the forefront of his agenda. He's on every forefront where there's something to help the community. And I ain't never heard him lie on this here. I was in a meeting once with him, and I said something about them Hispanics that was a little deep. We was over there at one of the restaurants, me, him, and some other people, and I was just there. He don't know that much about me, but I said something, so he checked me. Because I mentioned the fact that politicians, they was cowards. And that, woo. He said, no, the art of politics is compromise. And I left it alone because I couldn't argue with him. So he is a good compromiser. But he compromised with the community in mind. A lot of the other people, they only compromise with themselves in mind. The candidate that ran against him, that became mayor of Chicago, she don't compromise with the community in mind. She only compromise with her and her kind in mind. Well, let me leave that alone. Now, Alderman Irvin. And I knew his daddy pretty well because I was working for CAPS for the city back in them days when he was the commander, looked like forever, at the 11th District. He was a very different type of commander. He was a faith-based type commander. He was a preacher type commander. I don't know if he's a preacher or not, but I know his persona was more than just a policeman. So when I look at his son, Irvin, I look at him, and he's on the forefront with this cannabis, weed, marijuana, dope. And he and other aldermen are trying to get things put in place, but they already know that because of the mayor, chances are they ain't gonna be able to do too much because she's with the cabal that's in play. But the West Side Heroin Opioid Task Force have some of those aldermen down there as their chairperson for their area. And they're all working together. Sometimes y'all don't know that. But these aldermen and the state reps and Ricky Hinton, people are working together because of the inequity in what they have done with the dope game, where they're making over $100,000 a month. Now, that money might not be coming out of our neighborhood so much because that's them white dope fiends that they wasn't locking up for smoking that weed. But it is infringed upon the little hustle we had. So now you have taken this like you took the lottery, like you took policy, and now you dogging us and starving us. So I salute those politicians that we just saw. Now, let's get to what's happening. This looks like a little progress is being made. About a week ago, some savages, turned out to be from the South suburban area, came to the city of Chicago and killed a retired policeman. A couple of these little savages, they want to call them juvenile. I call them savages, and you should treat them like they are adult savages and put them in jail for the rest of their life or take their life. They took a life, you need to take their life. Yeah, I said that. I stand on that. They still looking, oh, go on and play this, man. I don't have to do a whole lot of talking. Play what you got. So while he getting ready to play, y'all disregard all this other stuff. This social media, man, they can throw all type of stuff in here.
I was only approached by a group of young men armed with guns. Bust my car
Okay, we have to get the order in order. This is the bottom. We're going from the other side down. But we'll go with it like this.
A Chicago mother there speaking out tonight after a group of men carjacked her while she was driving an Uber on the city's west side. And now tonight, she's asking the rideshare company for some help.
WGN's Rob Sneed is live from Harrison and Kedzie, near where that happened. Rob.
She said those suspects took everything, her keys, her phone, her wallet, her purse. She said that she thought she was doing a regular Uber pickup, as she always does, and she says that she had several guns pointed at her head. She ran for her life. She went down the street screaming for help.
I cannot sleep at night. I look at my son. I have a son that I provide for. This was my only income, and to see that I'm being set back in such a way, it really hurts.
Shantae Johnson hasn't lived in Chicago that long, only a couple of years. She figured coming here would be a fresh start for her and her child. The single mother drives Uber to provide for herself and her 4-year-old. But what happened to her Monday on West Lexington changed her life forever.
I got to the pickup area, the exact address. I was only approached by a group of young men armed with guns, bust my car door open, and started to force the keys out of my car.
She screamed,
pleading and begging for my life, explaining that I have a son, and they were distracted, still trying to get the keys out. I started to run. I was in flip-flops. I left everything in my car, phones, debit card, credit cards, everything was in that car, license, registration, everything.
As she ran for her life, she says she saw a group of people having a party at their home. The 27-year-old prayed they would extend a helping hand.
One of them yelled out and asked me, what's happening? What's happening? I told them I'm getting robbed. Please call the police. They started laughing. I could hear all of them laughing out loud. So I kept running. I don't understand. You would see somebody in such distress and not even try to assist, but laugh at the situation.
So she continued to run.
I ran into two elderly civilians that was kind enough to stop.
They called Chicago police and Johnson made a report. Her car, a blue Volkswagen, license plate BV93786, is still missing. She says she called Uber for help, and like that night with that group of people, she still feels ignored and helpless.
Uber system does not design to protect the drivers. Uber system designed to protect the riders.
Will you ever drive again?
No, I will never drive again for Uber.
Tonight, a spokesperson with Uber told me that they are looking into this case and they will get back to me. Reporting live on the city's west side, Rob Sneed, WGN News.
Don't get much scarier than that, Rob. Thank you.
I hear someone go, didn't it come from you guys? We deserve respect.
Now, let me just say this. Look like our order is a little bit in the reverse. So what I'm going to do is this. I'm gonna use this piece because this was a closeout piece, but it helps to this degree. Now I want you to think about what you're gonna see through this program today. They've been talking about these damn teenagers, juveniles, carjacking, and creating this type of havoc for over a year. And all of those, after then increased to 134%, those people have only arrested maybe 16%. Now, the reason we are pushing this is because of the fact that you're going to see something here where there are those like me that ask the question, when you talk about Black Lives Matter, why is it only when the police do something savagely, recklessly, that it matters? Because we got another situation that her story and some other stories from women that have been victims of carjackings. And there has not been a type of response that has been nowhere near what Miss Young is experiencing. And I want to just say this. Those people that have caused these women this distress and put their lives and families at risk are at least as worthy as the outrage of what the police did to Miss Young. But yet you sit back and act like it didn't happen because your damn grandsons and children do this to peoples in our community. But when the police do something scandalous, yeah, they should be dealt with. But when these bastards do something scandalous, you be quiet. But I want you to hear the pain of that mother. She wasn't from Chicago and even sound like she's from America. She got her accent up under there. So I know she wondered what in the hell going on. And like she said, I'm running down the street. Somebody asks, I tell them I need help. They start laughing like a damn hyena. Then she run into a couple of seniors and they reach for her and call the police. But she ain't got her vehicle. Her life has not been restored. And that's part of that Emmanuel family group that deals with the Uber thing that showed you and told you we don't care nothing about y'all, especially those that are 75 years and older. And now we see even those that are 27 years old that drives for that company, they don't care nothing about them either. Yeah. I want y'all to pay attention and I want y'all to think about this here. You need to be as outraged every time these savages that are preying on the black community do any of this foolishness that they doing and get away with it. You need to be as upset about that as you are when the police go in and do what you will see they did here. But let's go on, brother. I don't want to keep on with the commentary because we'll run out of time.
Clearance sale of the year with big discounts.
You know, I apologize to CAN TV, but this dang on system we're using, we seem to be getting caught up because somehow or another it seems to be hard as hell to keep this type of stuff you see up there on your screen from being seen. I hope people ain't seeing it because ain't nobody trying to advertise nothing.
Police say it's a crime of opportunity, and the opportunities for carjackers are apparently on a dramatic rise. Police have put out warnings to aldermen throughout the city. 32nd Ward Alderman Scott Waguespack shared that warning with his residents.
It really breaks your heart and you want to do more. I just hope that we can all step it up together.
According to Chicago police, there have been 1,236 carjackings so far this year. That's an increase of 134% over last year and the highest number since 2002. It's unclear what's behind the increase, but authorities say many of the perpetrators are juveniles who tend to face less serious legal consequences.
I know our police department are working with not only parents, but they're working with the young men and women as well through diversion type programs to help deter many of them from crime.
Alderman Chris Taliaferro's 29th Ward in the Austin neighborhood has seen the largest increase in carjackings, along with North Lawndale, West Garfield Park, the near West Side, and Westtown. Police say they're sending in extra officers to the highest risk areas.
Our efforts here have to be not only, saturating an area with police as we've done, but also making sure that the criminals know that there's got to be some consequences.
If you find yourself about to become the victim of a carjacking, police advise you to go along with the bad guys, cooperate. They remind you that your car is property, not worth risking your physical safety for.
It's Walter E. Smith's biggest clearance.
Let me say this here. I understand Alderman, and I understand the rest of y'all, but them boys they were talking about there was 13 and 15. You understand me? It's too late for diversion program. It's too late for that. You take them things off of the damn street and you lock them up. That's what you do. Because you putting them out there and they doing the same thing over and over again and they killing people. Alderman, don't be talking about them like they some little innocent poor babies. They are not. They are killers. I was talking to somebody the other day, a woman who just lost one of her sons.
5G is here.
And she told me something and I was tempted.
Nationwide and
but then we went to, somebody up from the police department and we put some things in place. But there was this piece, assault rifle, that there was information about. That if that thing hit the street, the officer was saying, that 30 to 60 bullet clip ain't nothing nobody in civilian life got no business with. It's on the street. And because we got a little street credit, we get an opportunity to get little information, get to the police, and try to help keep it from hitting the street. But these little kids you want to call, they ain't kids, man. They got ARs. 15s, and other weapons you see in the hand of these white folk. And you letting them run around killing folks in the black community. And you ain't doing nothing. Stop talking about diversion programs. Lock their behinds up, use the federal laws, and send them away for the rest of their damn lives because they ain't gonna never grow out of it. They ain't gonna be rehabilitated out of it. They are not going to be. Lock them up. And keep them locked up. Because when you let them out, I don't give a damn if they 80. They going to do it again because that's the stock that they from. They ain't got no foundation. Baby boomers and those before us, you could rehabilitate. You can't rehabilitate these dope crack babies, grandbabies, super grandbabies, because that's all they mama, they daddy, they granddaddy were. Dope fiends. Now you got this garbage running the street, killing people, and I'm telling you, some of these stuff they got, these weapons, man, I was in the Army, I ain't seen nothing like that. These things didn't exist there. M14 and M16, that's what I saw. They got some stuff here, boy. This stuff here just looked like it was made to tear up anything. Like the officer said, we can shoot this thing here 3-4 miles and it'll go through everything it hit. What do you do with something like that? And I'm going to tell you something. There was something in me that wanted to give the woman the money for it. But I knew that if I had it, it would destroy me. I did. But I was so tempted to go get the money and take it. I'm going to leave that alone. Go to something else, man.
Old boy is facing murder charges tied to the February shooting death of an 18-year-old woman. A total of 5 people were shot inside of a Southside convenience store in Avalon Park. Surveillance video shows 3 people walking up to the store, opening the door and firing several shots. The 15-year-old boy was identified as one of the alleged gunmen. Jaya Beeman was the victim who died.
Sunships. We're making waves.
Nah, that's the case they brought back. Y'all remember that. We're going to just run through these, Amari, so we can get through all of them. And then when we get through with them, then I'll make a little brief summary.
FBI actually arrested the 18-year-old on Wednesday. He's facing a number of charges, including murder.
Surveillance cameras captured the last moments of 65-year-old retired fire department lieutenant Dwayne Williams' life.
This is a carjacking crew who's involved in multiple different offenses.
Back on December 3rd, a crew of 4 targeted Williams as he left his favorite popcorn store at Western and 118th Street in Morgan Park. Williams fired at the 3 suspects that jumped out of a car. They fired back, hitting him. He later died at the hospital. Larry James owns Let's Get Poppin'.
Lose a customer like Lieutenant William, it hurts.
Police arrested a 15-year-old Wednesday for pulling the trigger. He's now facing multiple charges, including murder.
15 years old. Can you believe it? Devastating.
Police say 18-year-old Dwayne Johnson was also part of that carjacking crew. He's facing multiple charges as well now, including first-degree murder. He was arrested in Oak Forest on Wednesday. Police are still looking for 2 others. Lieutenant Williams, a married father of 4, spent 25 years with the Chicago Fire Department. His last assignment was at the city's Office of Emergency Management. He retired just 2 years ago, but was planning on going back to work.
We owe it to this victim and his family to bring everyone, regardless of their age, to justice.
Now, once again, police are still looking for 2 more adults in connection to this case. The 18-year-old will be in front of a judge later today. We are live. I'm Eric Rung, WGN News.
Well, you see, there it is. And while we're waiting on the next clip, you know, it's so much that make you tired. Just looking at it right here, right now, it's tiresome. And I think that's what we have to look at. We have to look at how hard it is to carry this incompetence of the government to provide safety, basic safety to the citizens. You hear all of that? All of that is happening. And ain't nothing being done that we can see and measure. Now, after some months, the thing with the young lady that was going to Malcolm,
and we begin with
the college student, and now the boys, these savages that killed the policeman. And there's a piece up here we're going to see in a minute about a lady in Bellwood. We saw the one about the mother with the Uber. We saw the other one, I think, from one of them other stations, where even some Hispanic people was there. Dudes walked up to them and started beating in their windows to rip them off. So we're going to just let you look at some of this, and maybe to make you mad enough to roll on these damn political
Following for you tonight,
officials.
A teenager now charged in the murder of a retired Chicago fire lieutenant killed during an attempted carjacking earlier this month.
WGN's Jenna Barnes is live with the details on that video. Jenna.
Lourdes, Ray, we are standing where that shooting happened. Police are not releasing this boy's name or his picture because of his age. He's just 15 years old. Community activists tell me that makes this murder even more tragic.
The death of a first responder is always tragic, and sadly, this day marks a terrible day that we hope will bring closure to the family.
Chicago Police Superintendent David Brown announcing the first arrest in the murder of retired Fire Lieutenant Dwayne Williams. Police say a 15-year-old boy killed Williams 2 weeks ago while trying to steal his car outside his favorite popcorn shop in Morgan Park.
This is a carjacking crew who's involved in multiple different offenses.
Investigators tell us the teen and that crew mainly targeted South suburban Chicago. The stolen Ford Fusion seen in this surveillance video during Williams' carjacking was recovered in Tinley Park. Those suburban departments and the FBI helped with this case. The boy was arrested in Chicago Heights Wednesday and is now charged with first-degree murder and attempted robbery.
It's a tragedy in itself that, I mean, this great man has lost his life, but it's even more sad that, his life was taken, by a 15-year-old.
Early Walker founded the organization I'm Telling Don't Shoot this year to encourage people to come forward with information about crimes. He says he's gotten many calls with tips in this case.
We have to start sending a message that, we are fed up, we are tired, and know where your kids are.
Superintendent Brown calling the arrest of a child for murder shocking.
We always think it's a failure in our ability to change our young people's behavior. But with that said, his actions were heinous. The fact that this murder took place as a result of a car being taken is something that is so tragic for this family that we owe it to this victim and his family to bring everyone, regardless of their age, to justice.
Police say there were 4 people involved in that attempted carjacking. They're questioning one adult right now, and they're looking for 2 other adults in this case. Live in Morgan Park tonight, Jenna Barnes, WGN News.
Jenna, thank you. We're going to get back to...
Well, it's good to see they're making progress. We're going to go on to the next one, and we're going to just try to get this done because we understand the fact that too much can create a type of depressive tone in a person's home. And I don't want to be responsible for that because I don't want people getting so burdened down that they can't drive. But there's a piece that's coming, this woman, and it's painful. Woman in Bellwood, running for her life. What a sadness.
It involves an innocent woman getting handcuffed, naked, with a dozen male officers watching. Now, she wants you to see the body camera video, but tonight the city went to federal court to try to keep it secret. Here's CBS 2 investigator Dave Savini.
I had just gotten home from work, and while I was undressing in my bedroom.
It was a cold February night. And Anjanette Young, a social worker, had just finished her shift at the hospital.
You see them running up to the apartment complex with the battering ram in their hand, a crowbar. It was so traumatic to hear the way the thing was hitting the door. And it happened so fast, I didn't have time to put on clothes.
And suddenly, she found herself frozen in fear. Completely naked. In a room full of men. 9 body cameras rolling.
And you're just standing there.
And I'm just standing there. I mean, terrified, humiliated, not even understanding why in that moment that this is happening to me.
And the first thing police reach for is not clothing, it's handcuffs.
There were big guns and guns with lights and scopes on them, and they were yelling at me, put your hands up, put your hands up.
What are you thinking right now?
I just remember, being so afraid. It's one of those moments where I just felt like that I could have died that night. If I had made one wrong move, I felt like they would have shot me. I truly believe that they would have shot me.
A police officer wraps a short coat around her shoulder, still leaving her front fully exposed. Even the sergeant in charge of the raid just stands there talking to her while she has nothing covering her. Then she gets a blanket.
They just threw something over me. And my hands are behind my back and I'm handcuffed. So there was no way for me to secure the blanket that they put around me.
But the blanket just keeps sliding open. More humiliation.
You need to tell me what you're looking for. What are you looking for?
You can see how some officers just stand there until this one, wearing a mask, sees what's happening and goes and holds it in place.
It felt like forever for me. It felt like forever.
Oh my God, this cannot be right. How is this legal?
Listen how she repeatedly tells the raid team they were in the wrong place. We counted. She says it at least 43 times.
You got the wrong house.
And she was right. They were in the wrong house. Our investigation uncovered police failed to do the most basic research before getting the search warrant approved. We found they simply took the word of an informant who gave them Anjanette Young's address. The informant claimed a 23-year-old man who was a known felon had a gun and ammo inside.
I don't know who that person is. I've been living here for 4 years and nobody lives here but me. I don't have to shout. This is ridiculous. You got me in handcuffs. I'm naked.
Then, during the raid, something happens. Watch as two of the officers go to their squad car and begin reviewing their notes about the warrant. CPD would not comment on what you're about to hear the officers saying a few minutes later.
It wasn't initially approved or some crap.
What does that mean?
I have no idea, because I mean they told him it was approved, and then I guess that person messed up on their end.
Messed up is an understatement. So, where was the target? Our investigation revealed he was awaiting trial on home confinement here at a different apartment in Anjanette Young's complex. How easy would it have been to locate him? Easy, real easy, because he was wearing a police tracking device, an electronic monitoring bracelet. It's possible he could have even heard the raid happening, because records show he was confined to the unit right next door.
But I'm telling you it's wrong. I'm asking you to let me call somebody. I'm asking you to let me put some clothes on. I'll sit here and let you do whatever you need to do. But let me call somebody, let me call an attorney, because I'm telling you this is wrong. I have nothing to do with whoever this person is you're looking for.
We found if they would have done a little bit more research, they might have found where the target actually lived.
Yes.
I think Screw Up was being too kind, because ultimately this is a constitutional rights issue.
Keenan Salter is Anjanette Young's attorney and is suing the police department.
If this had been a young woman in Lincoln Park by herself in her home, naked, a young white woman, let's just be frank, if the reaction would have been the same. I don't think it would have been. I think they would have saw that woman, rightfully so, as someone who was vulnerable, someone who deserved protection, someone who deserved to have their dignity maintained. They viewed Ms. Young as less than human.
They did eventually walk her to a room to remove the handcuffs so she could get dressed, but then put them right back on and kept questioning her.
There are no firearms in this place. There's no gun in this place. I'm a social worker. I've been a social worker for 20 years. I follow the law. I don't get in trouble for anything. I don't do illegal stuff. I'm not that person. You got the wrong information.
At this point, the sergeant in charge of the raid tells the officer who got the warrant to step outside.
Let's go talk outside.
But you won't hear it because once outside, the body camera is shut off. Back inside Anjanette's home, another officer finally uncuffs her. She had been bound for 20 minutes. Listen as the sergeant returns with a new message.
We believe your story.
And you can see him trying to fix the door they busted so she could close it and lock it. But it was too damaged to repair, so watch as they try to find something to wedge it shut. They settle on an ironing board.
Surreal?
Surreal. It's almost like a bad movie. When I watch this, I feel like I'm watching a movie. But those are no actors. I'm no actor. This is my real life. And it happened to me. They're adding trauma to people's lives that will be with them for the rest of their lives. The work is warranted. They need to do the work, but they need to do it right. They can't just callously do it and leave people's lives in ruins because they got it wrong.
The sergeant in charge apologized to her before he left. CPD has refused to comment on this case. It's been 2 years since the raid, and COPA, the Civilian Office of Police Accountability, says they're still in the process of trying to interview all of the officers involved. They did not say if anyone has been disciplined. At City Hall, Dave Savini, CBS 2 Investigators.
The CBS 2 investigators have been looking at this pattern of Chicago police raiding innocent families' homes for more than 2 years. You can find our extensive coverage on our website at cbschicago.com/unwarranted.
Now, we really want to salute Dave Savini for that and the work he do that exposes things that need to be exposed. I want you to just think for a moment, man. That could be anybody. Mother, daughter, sister, wife, anybody. Think. Like you say, this was not a movie, but they didn't care. They don't care. They are occupiers. They get paid to come into our community and do what in the hell they want to do. Without any accountability, without any oversight. You thought you was electing a mayor to do something different, and she did the same damn thing as Rahm Emanuel. What a way to live, being a Negro in the hood. All right, brother, let's look at this.
Those videos can be released, and the excuse that they use, and they use this excuse consistently, and you as members of the media know this, it's an ongoing investigation. It has been 13 months since they allegedly have an ongoing investigation, since November of 2019. More importantly, it's been 20 months since this incident occurred. What's left to investigate? She told the story on the video 43 times. You've got the wrong house. They admitted on the video they had the wrong house. There's no need for a further investigation. In the city that spawned the Laquan McDonald controversy, a mayor that ran on transparency, a city corporation council that is clearly out of control, not reporting details to the mayor, something has to change. And the change can't be to attack another innocent woman, first in her home, and then in court to say she violated a protective order. How is that the response? Has there been any discipline of any police officer for violating this woman's privacy? It's been almost 2 years. Has there been any discipline for any police officer for this wrongful conduct? No, but the Corporation Counsel's Office said what we want to do is we want to restrict the public's access to FOIA available body camera footage. Why? That's the old Chicago way. That's what we thought we were getting away from. That's the way of cover up and corruption. Why are we still here in 2020? The audacity of the Corporation Counsel's Office, after everything that's occurred in 2020, on the heels of Breonna Taylor being murdered in her home in a very eerily similar circumstance, how can you justify that your response is, don't tell the public? That is unacceptable. We can't stand for that. That's not justice. That's not righteousness. And that's not the kind of administration that Mayor Lightfoot said she wanted to run. So now, the ball is in the court of the city. We have demands. The easiest thing to do is that if a body camera is requested or a dash camera was requested, release it pursuant to a FOIA request, period, across the board. There's no reason to withhold certain videos that hurt you and release other videos that help you. That's politics. That's got to stop. Release all the videos. Bring light to the issues. Shine the bright light of the public on what the police are doing. When the police are right, that will be seen. This is not an attack against all police officers. We all have personal friends who are members of the Chicago Police Department. We respect the job that law enforcement has to do. But with that job comes a responsibility, with that job comes a duty, and with body cameras, if used properly, they protect the officers from allegations of misconduct. In this case, the cover-up runs deeper because we know that body cams against policy were turned off when a critical discussion happened outside of Ms. Young's home about 35 to 40 minutes into this ridiculously disgusting raid. Someone turned their body cam off, and a discussion was had off camera about the fact that they knew they were in the wrong place. And only then, for the first time after that occurred, did they ask her her name. I contend that's the first time they saw her as a human being. Jamal is right. This wouldn't have happened like this in Lincoln Park had it been a white woman. That doesn't mean that a white woman deserves it to happen to her. She doesn't. But no woman does. Mr. Green is right. The most disrespected person in the United States is a black woman. It doesn't matter that we have a president-elect who's a black woman. It doesn't matter that we had a black president for 8 years. The most disrespected person in this country is a black woman. And I call on Mayor Lightfoot as a black woman. This city and county has amazing leadership from 3 black women. State's Attorney Kim Fox, who we support a great deal, has done amazing work as it relates to reform. Cook County Board President Tony Preckwinkle, and Mayor Lori Lightfoot. This is a moment of truth. So I was disappointed yesterday when she seemed to double down on the attempt to cover up these videos. We're hopeful that that does not continue. That's not acceptable. That can't be the way we do business in the city of Chicago. That's not what she promised us. Ms. Young will tell you, Mayor Lightfoot came to our church right across the expressway, Progressive Baptist Church, and campaigned for office. She ran as a reformer. We all know that. This is the time to reform. This is the time to shine a light on what's going on in that police department, and the fix is easy. Release all videos all the time if they're requested. There's no justification for withholding videos under the guise of saying that there's an ongoing investigation. How long does the investigation take? So I'm going to let Ms. Young speak on her own behalf very briefly, and I'll take questions. Brother Green can take questions. Brother Russell can take questions. I don't want Ms. Green.
We can move to the next one, Omari.
But I'm going to let her speak and tell her truth.
Now, as we move forward, because I'm looking at the clock, although Omari told me don't pull a stunt like I did last week, walking up out of here, and I had 19 minutes left because I'm sitting here worried about the time. So today I'm going to try to, chill and just let this thing work itself out. But there's a couple other pieces I want to get to as it relates to that. There's a piece where the tone of the mayor is so, so scandalous. And then she come back and she sort of like try to clean it up and try to apologize and this and that. But, I don't want to be redundant to the extent that people say, man, I done heard this 1,000 times. So with the caution of not overdoing it, I'm gonna just wait a while and maybe come to this piece that I looked at this morning and I brought. Now I don't have permission from Mays Jackson, but I did see the piece as I was watching it on Facebook. So I hope he and his people, Tom Stroge and other folks, don't get too bent out of shape because we used it. But we're trying to provide information. And they did what I would call an excellent piece this morning as it relates to part of what had happened in this process, and I just think it helps people. Now, there's two other pieces I want to get to before this time is out, and that's the one about the woman in Bellwood running for her life, and there might be another one somewhere in there. But let's listen to what was happening in the Mays Jackson show, and we'll stop that when they get ready to go to break. Yes, sir, brother.
I don't think it's logical.
Thank you.
I just, if I came across as too dismissive.
No, I don't know what this is, but this ain't what I'm looking for.
So I'm not. I respect.
If I took the vaccine, if I did.
No. This you can move to something else, brother. This is not the piece that
because the Moderna,
I had forwarded.
Moderna.
And what we'll do, maybe this is how they do that. Maybe some of those shows don't allow you to come back to them on that type of format. But basically, what was happening is that he had a person from the media.
I fall through that line. I did everything I can for you. Sorry, guys.
Well, I feel like I got plenty of space to go, and it's like I just want to leave a bigger pile. But I tell y'all what,
that's because you got 2 labs. I only got 1.
You know what? I'm the way technology is, bro. I'm trying for 4. Look, this is the Mays Jackson Show. I'm your host, Mays Jackson. That's Ty Stroger over there in his anti-social club hoodie, and right next to me in her woke. You know what? Now let me just tell you. You know the activists are having a conniption. Because I see you got your Delta elephants.
Well, no, let's move around, man. Somehow or another, we got
like,
sidetracked. Finally one about the woman in Bellwood.
Right.
This is not what we were looking for. We were looking for the piece they did today. I was thinking it was today as it relates to how Lightfoot had dealt with this young situation. And, it is what it is. But one of the things I want to just let people know is that when we put together these clips, I have noticed that sometimes, you know, I don't know, people do what they want to do. Things vanish. And that's what it is. But instead of having a newspaper sitting here holding it up like we used to, now we try to do it a little bit more efficient as it relates to just using a process that you go to it and you post it and you redo it. One of the things that I see happens with this is that sometimes there is an overlap. Other times there's advertisement, and I ain't all finna advertising people's stuff. I don't care nothing about that. But I ain't all caught up that we're gonna miss good information because of the fact that whatever. And I trust that, the engineers can edit that stuff out and we don't have to deal with it. But if there's another piece you can find here with Ms. Young, because there's another piece that should be there with Ms. Young, speaking as it relates to her experience. And I know that there's another piece, and I think what I wanted to do is draw the emotions of the people. You understand? Draw the emotions so you can understand that the energy that they are covering this situation with, which is a travesty. And look at how they deal with carjacking and other type of crime in the community. All of this is traumatic. And all of it shouldn't be tolerated.
They knew that.
How can you have elected
they knew
officials?
that the way they treated me was not right.
And they not kidding.
Tonight, two women in tears. One, the victim of a botched police raid. The other, the mayor, who finally admits she let her down.
It's been painful and upsetting.
It's not okay. This man who's walking up to me and putting me in handcuffs, and I have no clothes on.
Now, after nearly a 2-year court battle to bury the body cam video, a battle waged by the mayor's office. That mayor out with a new promise to all of Chicago.
We will do better, and we will win back the trust that we have lost this week.
Good evening. Unprecedented movement today in the story CBS 2 investigator Dave Savini first broke. Mayor Lori Lightfoot calling a news conference to make a series of stunning admissions and propose sweeping cultural changes within the Chicago Police Department, even a proposal to change state law.
This is My Name is Anjanette Young, a CBS 2 investigator's special presentation. We are going to spend the next hour without commercials looking at a systemic problem within CPD. Shoddy police work leading officers to bust down wrong door after wrong door, traumatizing innocent families.
Let's start with the about face at City Hall. The admission. The mayor knew about Anjanette's story a year ago, despite her claims yesterday that she didn't.
Since I spoke yesterday, I have now become aware that in November of 19, when CBS was doing a continued reporting on the series of search warrant cases, some of the reporting included, I think you mentioned this yesterday, Dana, Miss Young's case. I knew generally about the reporting, which is what prompted me to have our chief risk officer get involved to reform the search warrant process, but I've now come to learn that in November of 19, this Ms. Young's case and others were lifted up to my attention.
The mayor was told about it. She knew about it. Later on, she said she may have been busy, distracted with the budget.
We want to bring in CBS 2 investigator Dave Savini. Dave, this story now getting attention across the globe. You sat down with the mayor one-on-one after that explosive news conference. I'd love to start with your first impressions of that meeting.
Well, Brad and Marie, we've been asking for this interview ever since the mayor took office. We wanted to talk to her about this disturbing pattern of wrong raids we had been uncovering in the city. We wanted to talk to her about the victims. We never got that interview. We asked repeatedly and never got it. Well, we got it now, and it took Anjanette Young's worldwide exposure of the humiliation to that woman during that botched raid for her to finally sit down with us. We interviewed a very tired mayor. She appeared to be tired. She appeared to be very angry, and she said she was very angry. And you're going to hear the questions that I had for her throughout this hour, and you're going to hear the answers that she gives me.
Okay, Dave, thank you so much. We're going to hear more from you and from that interview throughout this hour. First, though, we do want to go back a bit. The extraordinary
I don't want to be looking crazy, but all right. That piece is where it is. What else you got there, Amari? Once again, I'm trying to find a piece where this woman in Bellwood, I thought I had sent it, was running, and she was saying that, you know, the mama had already lost one child to violence, and this woman was running, and she was just scared to death. They took her car, and she was running for her life. All of this is connected. The Bellwood is right across the road. Chicago Heights, Harvey, those places where those other ones went. So now what you got is Chicago is surrounded by savages because they see that the savages in Chicago are allowed to do what they want to do. So those around the jungle are now coming into the jungle because they know that nothing happens to them in the jungle. And Kim Foxx, although not we all, but you know, a lot of us really feel for her because we feel she's sort of like a po thing, and I don't mean that disrespectfully. But she's somebody that has been where so many people have been and are. But somebody is not advising her correctly. She need to get with the Fed, and she need to get something done where these people are punished. All of this stuff that they got her thinking is reform. It ain't reform, Kim Foxx. That ain't reform. That's enabling. You need to find a way to lock these criminals up and take them off the street. And any of these folks that's in your ear telling you about reform and letting them out, you need to be dismissing them or locking them up. Because you're just so fortunate that you didn't get took out. Simply because of the fact that folks are tired of the crime and they blaming you. So until next week, Alafia, peace, and good health.